Hello and welcome. Happy Mother's Day to each of you. In the Bible, in Exodus chapter 20, it reads, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee." Contained in the fifth of the 10 Commandments is the first commandment with a promise. Our days will be long in the land if we honor our fathers and mothers. My wife has written a book the last few years as a way of honoring the memory of her mother, Thelma Edward Carey. She was an amazing woman who served a mission for her church during World War II, won a scholarship to Stanford University at a time when very few women even went to college, raised 3 children, and adopted a Native American boy. She loved traveling and reading books. We were also privileged to have her live in our home in Sherman Oaks for 17 years before she passed away at the age of 93. But I didn't write a book. I'd like to pay homage to my mother's life. My mother, Michiko Nakagawa Manship. My mother and father were married while he served in the U.S. Air Force stationed in Misawa, Japan, where I was born. And as we traveled from place to place, our family grew. Stephen and Elizabeth were born in Plattsburgh, New York. Linda and Kathi were born in Spokane, Washington. And after my father was medically retired from the military, my sister Penny was born in Harbor City, California. We moved a lot as a military family, every 3 years like clockwork. And it was my mom's job to organize that massive movement of troops and materials. We moved from Plattsburgh to Ankara, Turkey, to Spokane, Washington, then Taipei, Taiwan, to Columbus, Ohio, and finally to Southern California. My mom never worked once she was married. Her job was to take care of the house and the kids, and she did an excellent job. We were watched over, cared for, nurtured and groomed with a respect for others and a willingness to be of service. Her greatest talent was to quietly provide. Her service to us was rendered in small ways, cooking all of our meals and washing mountains of clothes and keeping a tidy house. She took pride in her effort because it would reflect on her children. She wanted us to be our best, so she did her best for us. In fact, I was probably the only high school student ever whose gym shorts were always starched and pressed with a crisp crease. I got a lot of kidding about that, but I'll always remember the extra effort that she put into providing for me. My mother became a widow after just 16 years of marriage. My father died just 2 days before his 40th birthday. She'd never learned to drive. She'd never held a job in the United States and now had 6 children to provide for on my father's military pension and VA benefits. She paid the mortgage on our home, clothed and fed us, and budgeted so well that we were unaware that we were living below the poverty line. She somehow managed that without having to get a job, and her job continued to be to take care of the house and the kids. Her heart was broken when my sister Kathi died during the AIDS pandemic of the late 80s and early 90s. At that point, my mother moved into my brother's home in Santa Clarita, where he watched over her and cared for her for several years. My brother honored his mother with the care that he provided for her. It is my hope that he enjoys Heavenly Father's promise of a long life. On Christmas Day 2001, after activities and dinner with all of her children, my mother had a stroke. She declined over the next several days and passed away in the early hours of January 7th, 2002, within minutes of the same day and time that my father had been called home 32 years earlier. She'd been a widow for twice as many years as she'd been married. I was blessed to have her as my mother. Honor thy father and thy mother. In my church, we have a strong belief that our purpose in this life revolves around the family to live righteously so we may one day return to our Heavenly Father and be there with our families and loved ones. We believe that families can be together forever. Today, I have invited some of my friends to join me to honor their mothers and wives, to share their love for their families, the great blessings that we have during this time on earth. And men, if you're watching in the company of your family, or if you are alone and just thinking about your family, please join us as we sing the words to this song and honor our mothers.
Keep them safe from every harm. Oh, we love them, yes, we love them. Families make our lives complete. God in heaven, you have blessed us. Bless us with our families. Oh, we love them, yes, we love them. Families make our lives complete. God in heaven, you have blessed us. Bless us with our families.